Hey gang, it's that time of year. We're right at the beginning of when fantasy drafts happen, and it's also the time of year I take a stand on 10 players. Now, rather than list 100 players that I love and then take credit because some of them inevitably do well, I narrow it down to 10 players and I plant a flag. I believe enough in their abilities that they're worth drafting at their current ADPs. I've been doing the flag player list for more than a decade now, and on today's show, we're counting down numbers 10 through 6. We'll give you a look at why I like these players so much. Should be fun. Let's dig in. My number 10 flag player for 2019 is Nyheim Hines. As a sleeper, as an interesting, very late round gambit, going undrafted in a lot of leagues. Not telling you Marlon Mack is bad, or Nyheim Hines is a candidate for 200 carries, even if Marlon Mack gets hurt. I am telling you that whatever you think about Tariq Cohen, you should think about 80% of that about Nyheim Hines. This is a sub 4.4 world-class sprinter who somehow didn't make a single play over 28 yards last season. And if that keeps up, it means he has the worst vision in the history of the NFL. I do not think he does. I see ankle-breaking moves. I see acceleration. I just think it was really weird and bad luck that Hines didn't bust huge plays last year, a la Tariq Cohen. Certainly, if Andrew Luck misses significant time, maybe we start to think about all the Colts' weapons differently, but I think Hines needs to be rostered. Not really all that worried about Paris Campbell somehow taking away a ton of workload as a receiver. Sometimes you see Hines lined up out wide. If he gets a linebacker on him like this play, Luck is going to see that, and Hines will make the shake move to get free and then come back to the ball with advanced ball locating skills, kind of a back shoulder fade kind of thing. I don't think we need Hines to get more than about 150 touches to have way more ceiling than he showed last year, because I feel so sure he'll be more explosive on a per play basis. 13th or 14th round, take a flyer on Nyheim Hines. Standard or especially PPR. Quick break to thank today's sponsor. So glad to have Leesa as our sponsor. You hear me talk about Leesa all the time on the podcast. Now we can show you some images of what Leesa mattresses look like. My mattress looks kind of like that. I don't look like a model, but that's kind of what my mattress looks like. I sleep on one every single night. I could not possibly oversell how much of a life changer it was to get my Leesa mattress. If you've been putting off getting a new mattress, but you know you need one, maybe you haven't been sleeping great, or you've been waking up stiff and sore, could not recommend them highly enough. They'll give you 100 nights to sleep on one of their mattresses, and if you don't love it, send it back after sleeping on it for more than 3 months. No questions asked. Leesa is a great company. The mattress is just wonderful. And we can get you 15% off right now when you go to leesa.com and use our code Harris15 at checkout. That's leesa.com, code Harris15. Back into the flag player list. Along the same lines as Nyheim Hines, I'll give you Dion Lewis as another underrated ancillary part of a backfield. I don't think that backfield is going to be as single back focused as the current average draft position would have you believe. I would rank Derrick Henry significantly higher than Lewis. I admit the offense worked best in 2018 at the end of the year when Henry played more and Lewis played less. I just don't trust Derrick Henry over the long sweep of history. After week 13 last year, who had produced the more valuable running back fantasy season in standard leagues, even in standard leagues, let alone PPR? Why, it was Dion Lewis over Derrick Henry. And then, yes, granted, Henry made his big plays, made his season otherwise look respectable in December, but these two players are nice complements to each other. Lewis is a space player. He caught 59 passes last year, probably still not enough. He's designed to play on third downs, and yet he's also a surprisingly tough runner between the tackles. You can change things up using Dion Lewis. You remember how hard he can be to find in traffic. He's pretty good from in close. That was the case with the Patriots too. I don't think there's a fundamental change in the way these Titans running backs get deployed. 200 touches, very much still on the table for Dion Lewis. This isn't about me freaking over Henry's unknown calf injury. I'm just going to assume he'll be all right, and yet I don't think our opinions should vary so much from what they were last summer. Lewis's ADP right now, 13th round, even in PPR. Last year, It was 5th round. Chance for some end-of-the-bench value with each of my first 2 guys. You could even call them sleepers if you so choose. Okay, my number 8 flag player. This might be the last of what you would call sleeper on my list. Dante Pettis is maybe a 7th or 8th round pick as of my recording this. But I wonder if maybe that number is actually about to get worse because Kyle Shanahan expressed some public doubt about Dante Pettis. And if that happens, good. I'm willing to believe. I'm still willing to take the chance on Pettis' talent. Only has 27 career catches, but as a rookie, when he did get in there toward the end of the year, he showed so much route running polish. He'd gotten hurt week 4, came back week 12. This pick of Pettis as maybe your first bench wide receiver, it's less about worrying about the depth chart, worrying about Marquise Goodwin, who I don't think is all that good, or rookie Deebo Samuel or anyone else. It's not really about Jimmy Garoppolo being healthy or not really about the Niners offensive system. It's just looking at Pettis run routes, seeing how he gets open at will. My comp for him is Keenan Allen. Maybe not the most spectacular athlete, but you don't have to be when you come in and out of breaks so suddenly and set up moves so professionally. Pettis just has that thing, the sharp moves that get you open. And no matter what the coach says or what the coach thinks, whether it's about motivating him to be better or actually expressing reservation, on the field, I think Pettis is ready to be excellent, even in year 2 of his career. Solid mid-round pick. How about another receiver at number 7, and certainly with Keenan Allen? We are not bargain shopping anymore, but it is appropriate to have him right after Dante Pettis, because as I just said, they remind me of one another. Allen is, spoiler alert for a show that we're doing on this YouTube channel next week, my nominee for the best route runner in the league. He's just incredibly precise. He's incredibly deceptive. His footwork is just the best in the game. And it has to be. Keenan Allen would lose a foot race against every single cornerback in the NFL. And yet, when he runs routes, they cannot stay with him. He's an incredible specimen to be a kind of a blasé athlete by NFL standards and still to be this unstoppable. The market currently, as of my recording this, has Allen going 30th in standard overall. I'm at 21st, so I'm not saying it's that huge of a gap. It's not that much of an outrage. And in PPR, actually, I'm much closer to the market. What I'm mostly trying to capture here is that mid to late 2nd round, love it. Love Keenan Allen then. Falls to you early in the 3rd, love it even more. The flag list is really about me telling you the guys I really believe in. And I know that Allen hasn't really yet produced the super elite touchdown season. Mike Williams is a nice bet for some scores on the Chargers this year. But I don't think there's anything inherent about Allen where he can't find his way to scoring more touchdowns. Maybe not the huge boom on a weekly basis that the elite wide receiver ones have, but plenty of ceiling and a great floor. And then number 6, the last name I'll talk about on today's show, I have Mark Ingram. I picked a couple of tiny bones running backs up there at the beginning of the list, Hines and Lewis, probably not destined to inherit full-time workloads. Mark Ingram is a full-time load, all right. He's 215 pound. They call him the rolling ball of butcher knives, right? And I like the player just fine. Before you go accusing me of making this all about the landing spot with the Ravens, remember, last year I begged you not to draft Alex Collins because I thought he wasn't a very good player, but Ingram is a good player, and I also think he's an amazing fit for what Baltimore will do. That offense will, of necessity, because of what they've got going on at quarterback, they're going to rely on a ton of pre-snap motion, jet sweep motion, run pass options at the snap, all of which, for Ingram's purposes, will be to soften up a defense for exactly what he's great at. Not messing around, running hard up the gut and crunching people. Despite the fact that the Ravens will utilize Lamar Jackson's skills to create something like a college offense that might lean toward the run, it will still be tough to stack the box against Ingram. And I'm not assuming that he gets the full workload himself. I think Justice Hill gets involved on 3rd downs. I think Gus Edwards might be involved occasionally. I mean, certainly Jackson himself is going to run a ton, but it's a world of timeshares. So if Ingram is doing 250 touches, I think we're getting good value. I have him at number 25 in standard, number 34 in PPR. The market is 39 in standard, 45 in PPR. So if you're telling me 4th round on Mark Ingram, even late 3rd. I find that to be great draft value. I have him in my top dozen fantasy backs in standard, ahead of Dalvin Cook, ahead of Kerryon Johnson. Like the player, admit that the situation is factoring in, love the situation. And that's it for the first half of my flag player list for 2019. I'll be back on the channel Monday, the 19th of August, to count down number 5 through number 1. If you're drafting this weekend, the weekend of August 17th, I mean, that's too early, but also you might not have a choice. And if you need to know 5 through 1, we have released that list in podcast form. And really, if you didn't know I have a podcast, I have a podcast. You should be listening each weekday. You can find out all about the podcast and listen to 5 through 1 on the flag list at harrisfootball.com. Thanks for listening.